Hi there. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for the feedback provided in relation to the flywheel I made for the Stuart half beam. It is really much appreciated, and a lot of it was really valuable stuff. Anyway, in this video I'm going to have a go at machining the base plate for the Stuart half beam. Now this is the biggest casting in the kit and the most expensive one, so hopefully I won't mess it up. Well, I've tidied up the edges with a mixture of hand filing and a bench grinder, and I've not touched the underside. As you can sort of see there, there's some high spots, in particular there and there. So what I'll do is I'll try to identify those high spots and tidy them up with the hand file, and then I can decide on the best way to approach machining the top bit. I've got rid of most of the high spots, but there's still a slight rock on it when it's on the surface plate, so what I've decided to do is put some of this die cam on it, put some of this wet and dry on the surface plate, and then just gently rub it just to see where these high spots are. It's interesting, one there, a bit down here, so it's the corners really still. So I'll do a bit more filing and refine it, doing it that way. That feels good. So I'll just take some basic measurements. So 0 eyes there, 0, 1/8 thou, -1 thou, and -4 thou. So I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. So what I can do now is put it on the milling table and mill these platforms to be the same height. Well, this is all very confusing. The original drawings state that the distance between the bottom of the base plate and the top here should be 9/16 of an inch. So that's 0.5625. Now the total height measured is 0.79, so that can't be right. Now there's a correction sheet that's been supplied with the drawings that state that it's 9/16 from this surface here to that surface there, but that measures 0.54, which is less than what it should be, 0.5625. So I'm totally confused. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mill 10 thou off the top of these. Okay, so I've just put it on the surface plate upside down and it's looking very, very good. Very happy with that. So to mark out the parallel lines, first of all I clamped the base to this angle plate and levelled it on this here. I had to put a feeler gauge under here just to get it to the right height. Having done that, I measure the distance between these two outside edges, and I know that these inside scribe lines measure 2 5/16, so I could then work out the distance between that edge here and the centre. I could also work out the centre line. Having determined the centre line, I then marked up these lines. So what I need to do now is unclamp it and mark up the other lines. So to mark up these horizontal lines, what I did first of all was to measure the distance between these two edges, then calculate the centre, mark up the centre, and then based upon that centre line I was able to mark up these points here and there. Now unfortunately my height gauge can't go much higher than that, so I think what I'm going to have to do is to switch it round and then recalculate sort of a zero position off that. Okay, so I've used a punch to lightly punch the positions of where the holes are going to be drilled, apart from the 4 holes round here. Now I've used this edge finder to make sure that the base is parallel with the table, which it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a coaxial indicator to find the centre position there. So we're in a couple of thou there, so I'm happy with that. Well, I centre drilled based upon the coaxial indicator position, and it's slightly off the scribe lines that I made. So just to double check it, I put this edge finder on, and to be honest I'm not happy, because the edge finder has identified some differences. So on this edge here, the top edge, I get minus 0.691. On this edge here I get 0.683, which is a difference of 8 thou. On this edge here I get minus 694, and on this edge here I got 0.685, which is a difference of 9 thou. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to readjust the centre position of the DRO based upon these readings, and I'm not going to trust the coaxial indicator. Okay, so having recentered the DRO with this edge finder now, I'm getting plus 689, minus 689, minus 690 I think, and plus 689. So I'm really happy that everything's spot on centre now, and it's a real shame that the coaxial indicator gave a different reading, but I'll use another centre drill and recentre it. So having centre drilled this centre position, if I lose absolute zero on the DRO, I know I can come back to this point, put the centre drill back in, and then reset the DRO to that point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the drawing dimensions and the DRO to drill and tap where appropriate, and hopefully it will coincide with the punch marks I made, because these punch marks are a double check really. So for the first hole to be drilled, I calculate that the x-axis should be minus 1.094 of an inch, the y-axis minus 1.156 of an inch. And thankfully that coincides with the scribe lines. So I've already centre drilled, so now I need to drill 2.1mm and then tap to 7BA. Now this is the first time I've used the touch DRO in anger, and I've drilled and tapped the 7BA holes here, the 4 of them. So while I was doing 7BA I thought I'd do these 4 7BA holes here. Now the distance from my sort of centre point here to the hole there on the x-axis is 6.5 inches. So I moved the x-axis 6.5 inches and it came up slightly short, and I've worked out that it was about 1% out. So what I've done is I've changed the CPI setting in the touch DRO. It was 2540 and I've changed it to 2560 on all 3 axes, and that's now put me exactly at the right spot. So I'm glad I'd actually did that and found the error. I know 1% isn't a great amount, but over that distance it can equate to quite a bit. So that's all of the 8 7BA threads done. Now it's on to the 2BA, so I need to thread here 2BA, 2BA. So that'll be drilling through with a 3.9mm drill bit and then tapping. And then I need to use the circular function to drill and tap 2BA on here. I must say most of my marking out has been very accurate. Well, these two 2BA threaded holes worked out okay, fairly straightforward. So what I need to do now is to drill the 4 2BA threaded holes around here. So to do that I'm going to use the circle function on the touch DRO. So first of all I need to clear all points. And then if I go into the circle function, the circle radius, now the diameter is 2 1/16 of an inch, so that equates to the radius of 1.03125 in inches. Number of holes is 4, and the angle, well, the first hole needs to be at 45 degrees, so I put in 45 and create the circle. And if I now go into tools, I think it is, no, points, preview workspace. If I do auto select nearest point, we can see here this is where the head is, and these are the 4 points. So as I move the X and Y axis, I don't know whether you can see that hairline bit there, but if I move that and move the Y-axis down this way, should start to count down because we've got auto select nearest point. So when it gets near to it, there you go, it's dropped. So when we get to 0, 0, we're spot on the centre. That's the y-axis. Obviously it needs locking, but the x-axis. I was told that you can, I think you can expand this. Oh yeah, you can. That's good. So I'll refine that, make it 0, 0 and lock both axes, and then I'll just make a mark using a centre drill, and then I'll do the next point, then the next point, the next point, and just double check that everything looks okay before making any actual drilling holes. So I'm not sure if you can see the 4 marks here. I'll just double check that. Looking really good. So I'll open these up then. I'll centre drill, probably drill 3.5 millimeters. Then the I think it's 3.9. Yeah, and then I'll tap it to 2BA. But I'll do all that off camera. So now it's just a matter of drilling these holes around the edge to be 2BA clear. So I'll centre drill, then I'll drill 3.5mm diameter, and then finish with a 4.8mm. Well, I must say I'm really happy with the approach I took with making this. I'm really happy with the results. I'm a bit disappointed with the coaxial centering gauge. Something wrong there, because it seems to be way out. So I need to do some more checks with that. Also, it's the first time I've used the touch DRO in anger, and I'm glad I found that problem with the calibration early on. So having fixed that, it seems to be 100% accurate now. And even my homemade Bluetooth controller never failed, so that was rock solid. So overall, with that touch DRO, it just simplifies the whole process on the mini mill. It just makes life so easy. But anyway, I hope you like the results, and I hope you found the video of interest, and I hope to see you later.